stop.
Man, what?
Stop or I kill you.
I gotta stop in the next station.
There's the brake, and I blow you in half.
Good morning, everyone. It's storming here in Los Angeles, but to bring a ray of sunshine and hope, Clint Eastwood's favorite actor, Unforgiven, Jersey Boys, as well as Cold Case, FBI, hundreds of other epic projects. Mr. Jeremy Ratchford. Jeremy, how are you, buddy?
Good, brother. Good.
It's always good to see you.
This pork pie. We're going to get to it eventually, but I've been watching Kojak, and I saw in the pilot that their tech advisor was Sonny Grosso. And,
yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it?
And
now,
Sonny did a show up in Toronto, Night Heat, which launched a lot of careers. But it's funny to see Night Heat is shot very similar to Kojak, and I would like to say that it's no fanfare when when we take a look at Michael Mann and Miami Vice and that fucking craziness of that cop world, and the reality that Sonny was with, like, again, going to Kojak's car. Kojak's car is not. It's a brown Buick.
If a perp showed up wearing a Miami Vice pink suit on Kojak, first of all, there would be an internal investigation by Internal Affairs as to who murdered him in the cell.
Yeah.
But it's just one of the Kojak is like all punch in the mouth, and those guys are we're gonna circle back to it, but I've been watching a lot of Kojak, and I'm really amped up about it. I forgot how fun of a show it was. And, and everybody is in it, and you said Sonny Grosso,
one
French
of the highest
Connection fame, right?
Cops in New York's history.
Yeah,
he is Roy Schreider's character in the French Connection.
Cloudy.
He and Popeye broke the French Connection, and Sonny passed away a couple of years ago. But he was phenomenal. The stories that man had. Insane.
Did you hear the story? Did you hear the story from a French Connection where he and Doyle have the meeting about the movie, and they have to sign something, and Sonny's like, no, I can't sign it. I'm sorry, I can't be a part of this. And Popeye Doyle says, it's all right, Sonny. I forget what the issue was with it, but it was a deal breaker, not in the contract deal, but as far as their involvement as policemen was concerned, because he also shows up in The Godfather. Shows up in that scene with The Godfather where they punch Michael Corleone. But
so funny about that too, because he realized he knows he's not an actor. So, and I talked to him about that a couple of times, and he was just like, he's a war hero. He's like, my boys, what the?
Well, Coppola knew he wasn't an actor too, so Coppola he did what we were talking about off air. He buried him in the back a little bit just so they could have the story. We were talking a little bit about that, and we'll circle back to what Ratchford here and I were discussing. But to finish your thought, or to finish the story, it was some kind of thing where like their jobs would have been like taken away from them if they had done it or something, or if they signed some situation. And so Popeye Doyle goes, it's okay, Sonny, I'm with you on that. Why don't you step outside? I'm going to say goodbye to our friend here, and I'll join you in a minute. We'll get out of here. So Sonny goes outside, and then Popeye Doyle comes out and he goes, all right, all done. Let's get out of here. And he goes, well, what happened? And he goes, oh, I forged your signature on it, so we're good to go. But that way, if anything comes back to you, you're good. And I'm, he's like, it's a real famous story, but I'm not up to speed on my French Connection lore.
I got to play Popeye.
Did you?
Yeah, on Top Cops. It was the first episode that Sonny did sort of from his own thing. And I got hired to play Popeye. And I went to meet Eddie at the Sutton Place in Toronto. And he came out of the elevator, and he had a dame on his arm, kind of.
Yeah, not a date, folks, a dame.
A dame. And he steps off the elevator and he goes, you must be Jeremy. You're a lot better looking than Hackman. They finally got it right.
Oh, nice.
And that was the start, man. He and I spent, we just spent a lot of time together. And that man, the stories, and we were, Sonny had a place, is it Carlos and Angelina's? It was a mom and pop Italian joint, Bloor in Bathurst. And it was one of the first restaurants Sonny went to. And that became his place. And it was very New York Italian. So that's where he went. So much so that he had this table there that they built a phone into the wall so he could take calls when he was there. And of course, this was the week that they were doing, because Eddie was the first guy to go undercover. And the undercover, that's the pork pie hat, they saw this coming a mile away. And he finally went, you know what? And his first undercover gig was to dress up as Santa Claus. And he went down into the streets with a bell. And he said, if I'm singing Jingle Bells with the bell in my right hand, that means the guy here is selling drugs. If I'm singing Silent Night or whatever the song was, that means the guy that I'm putting the bell over just bought drugs. and they started rounding people up, and because they didn't recognize him as Santa Claus. So we were doing that episode of it, and then we got whisked away one night from set. They were doing something else, and Tony DeSantis was playing Sonny. I was playing Eddie, and we went to the meeting. We went to the restaurant, and we walked in to kind of see our counterparts. And it was it was a remarkable night, kind of being invited to the table. It was very cool.
They're in A French Connection.
Yeah.
And it's a great scene because Hackman, as Doyle, screams at his commander for incompetence, who's played by Doyle.
All that is great, but you belong at Pepper Stuyvesant, not out there in Ridgewood.
Well, why don't you detach us then, for Christ's sakes? Give us a shot at it. At least till we find out if there's anything here or not. Everybody wants wine stock, right? Well, maybe here's the lead we're looking for. We deserve this.
Couldn't burn 3-time loser with this garbage you're bringing in here. The man has done absolutely nothing. The first thing you know, you'll wind up in an entrapment trap, the both of you. Brooklyn is loaded with guys that own candy stores, 2 cars, and like to go to nightclubs.
Yeah, but you put this little candy store hustler together with Joel Weinstock, and maybe we got a big score.
Big score, my ass. At best, he's selling nickel and dime bags.
I wouldn't be infringing on your coffee break, Simonson, if I thought it was a nickel and dimer.
Your hunches have backfired before, Doyle. Or have you forgotten about that already? Jesus Christ, Jimmy, what's happened to you guys lately? Every year, you lead the narcotic bureau on arrest. What, was it over 100 again last year? Terrific. But who? What did you bring in? A high school kid in short pants that had a twitch? You grab a bellhop because he's got 3 joints in his sock?
Walter, we got the information there's no shit on the street, right? It's like a goddamn desert full of junkies out there. Everybody waiting to get well.
Goddamn it, this could be it. This little candy store guy, he's put on a big show in a fancy nightclub with no narcotics connections. They were all over him. And then on our own, after working the whole day and night, we tailed him to Brooklyn. And we sat on him for practically a week. Now, who do we come up with? Joe Weinstock, for Christ's sake. Now, you gotta let us have it.
Do you believe all this crap?
I go with my partner.
What'll it take?
A wire.
No, 2 wires.
2 wires.
One on the store, one on the house.
You know I have to get a court order for wiretap, don't you?
But you'll try.
We know you can do it, Walt.
Popeye, you still picking your feet in Poughkeepsie?
So legendary. And he's just like, and the other guy that's in that scene is the famous stunt driver for Bullet, who is the cop that's giving him shit, who's like, no, you don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. You guys are going to, and then he ends up going on the stakeout with him. But so that's like racked with talent, off-screen talent, like real legitimate talent. But it's just so funny that he's given, like Doyle, like looks like, oh man, why are you busting my chops? Like he really kind of channeled the inner watch commander persona when Hackman is berating him. He looked like a guy who had seen the look of just, shut this guy up already.
Well, but Eddie told me too, because they said they picked Hackman up from the airport.
Oh, great.
So he flew in. Eddie and Sonny pick him up. And one of the things Eddie loved to do, that the bar scene in that movie is what he loved to do. He'd walk into the bar that was predominantly black, and he'd pull the cord out of the jukebox, and he'd find the biggest guy and have a fight just to get his point across that I'm here and I don't give a fuck. They took Hackman from the airport to that bar, and Hackman watches going, Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
And they turned it into an informant thing. And as Eddie pointed out, he said, the bar is packed full of people, but there's only 3 drinks on the bar because it was a heroin den. Like that was the whole, so his whole thing was boom, just wreak havoc. And then the other thing he did that was so funny, and again, he told me, he said, if he was a cop today, he'd be off the force in a heartbeat. He was almost the center fielder for the Yankees. So he had,
Doyle?
Yeah, he had an arm. And his thing was, he says, it's all about respect. So he started going around going, "What's my name?" And the guy'd go, "Egan." And he'd go, pow. He'd pop the guy, knock him out. And he'd slap him awake and he goes, "That's Mr. Egan." And word got around. All of a sudden, it's like, if this guy asks you his name, you better say Mr. Egan. And then my favorite one that I have to put into a fucking movie, they had a guy in the box and he wasn't saying anything. He's like, "Yeah, fuck you, blah, 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 blah," doesn't care. Egan took off all his clothes, saved the hat, and walked him through the door and came across the table, punched the guy in the head, knocked him out, and left. And when they went to night court, because Popeye stands for plenty of people enhance your evenings. That's how he got the moniker Popeye, because they used to just bring in his arrests all night long. So the guy gets on the stand and it's like, "Police abuse," and he goes, "That guy came in, he was stark naked, and he punched me." And the judge is like, "Stark naked, huh? Okay. Oh, and you're on a drug charge? Yeah, all right. Dismissed. Your claim is dismissed, whatever." But and Egan says, "I knew he was going to say the guy came in naked and no one was going to believe him." He was fucking hysterical.
God, so this is fun to talk about. We're gonna have to do the French Connection, go do a revisit, and see what's what. Again, that was a huge inspiration on a project I was at Warner Brothers with back in the early 2000s. So we looked at it in detail then, but it's been a while since I've seen it, and it's got some fun components, and it always comes back to Hackman with Ratchford. If you notice, a lot of the Unforgiven stories about Hackman singing over Jeremy's shoulder, singing what is it? The
Bobby
what song?
McGee.
Yeah, Bobby McGee to Jeremy Ratchford upending Hackman in the role of Popeye Doyle with his looks. It's Hackman cannot get away from this conversation.
Hi there, everybody. Voice actor Roger Craig Smith here to talk to you about NMOSD. It can paralyze you, it can blind you, it can even kill you in a matter of minutes, but we are very close to a cure, and with that cure could come a cure for cancer. So please go to the Guthrie Jackson Foundation and donate today. Appreciate it.
But today, folks, speaking of the world of Kojak and its polar opposite, aesthetically anyway, another show I did like quite a bit, Miami Vice, we're actually going to talk about Thief by Michael Mann.
What the hell do you think that I do? I wear $800 suits. I wear a gold watch. I'm a thief.
You want to put down contract scores all over the country, working directly for me?
I am self-employed.
I'll make you a millionaire in 4 months. So what do you say, Frank?
They gotta be big scores, they gotta be fast. 1, 2 tops.
You don't know from one day to the next whether you're going to be killed, go home, or get busted.
Look, I have run out of time, so I'm just asking you to be with me.
Got a problem? I go to work for you, I'm pulling a lot of exposure.
Are they in the walls? I mean, can they hear everything we say all the time?
Look, we your new partners. We in for 10 points.
Our end goes with the territory. They don't run me, and you don't run me. I want my end, and I am out.
You don't want to work for me? What's wrong with you? You do what I say. I run you. I want you work until you are burned out, you are busted, or you're dead. I am the last guy in the world that you want to mess with.
Look, just to let the audience know, when we were firing up the systems here, Jeremy and I were kind of talking note-wise about like the movie since we both recently watched it, and we were like in agreement on so many like what I would call oddball factors of this movie that we were like, so we're gonna just basically repeat the conversation we had off air for people to hear on air. Michael Mann, James Caan, who recently passed away and was not well liked, I hate to tell you. Peter Jason told me James Caan broke his nose on the set of Alien Nation. There's a place in Studio City, and I don't want to name it, but it's a diner. And if you go in there at any point in time, well, no, not at any point in time, but if you're in there like between lunch and dinner, that's like the celebrity hour. That's where they go when traffic is at its minimum. Bono's been in there, Shaq, Sharon Stone, James Caan, and all the waiters in this place thought James Caan was very unnecessarily so difficult with them. So from our firsthand production stories, James Caan was not perceived as being the nicest human being. I apologize if you're a James Caan fan. But his performance in this is a little bit interesting, wouldn't you say? We were talking about, he looked hurt. Like it looked like his football days had caught up with him when he walked.
Yeah.
Didn't he kind of look like he was broken and battered? But anyway, Jeremy, why don't you give us your initial impression of Thief, if you would?
My first kind of thought, too, was this is Heat light. This has all the elements of Heat, but 30 years before or what have you. And you can see Michael Mann's style, like the long rained out alleyways and cars parked and wow, Tangerine Dream doing the soundtrack. And the thing I like about Tangerine Dream, it seems timeless. Like it doesn't. There are some soundtracks that you kind of go, oh God, this is an '80s movie. Like but they kind of it's a little dated, but not that bad. Like it goes. They have a great sense of mystery. So I really kind of like that. It was one of those things when it came up to you go, how many movies did Tangerine Dream do?
So the first time I heard him was Sorcerer, which is an underappreciated movie, I think, with Roy Scheider. It's a remake of Wages of Fear. Again, Friedkin. We were talking earlier about French Connection. And I love the work they did in Sorcerer. I actually like their work in Thief, Miracle Mile. I've talked to them. They're very interesting people as artists. But I've heard Michael Mann say recently he's still not sure if he made the right decision on the soundtrack for Heat. I don't know what that means now that we're 40 years removed from the production, or if that's like a personal thing to kind of, I mean, he used Tangerine Dream after that. So I don't know. I mean, I think he was on the fence between a blues soundtrack and Tangerine Dream. It's hard to pass on Tangerine Dream, though. I can see them walking in with samples and being like, you're it. Can't you? Like they really do put a soundscape in there. Yeah. And it's thought-provoking and it shifts gears and they'll work a guitar, like a hard-hitting guitar riff in, and they'll change a gear on you musically. But it's good for this movie, I think, in a sense, because Mann lets the camera and the music kind of convey action. Like a lot of times James Caan is just walking through like a welding shop. Yeah. But the music makes you think like, oh, it's about to go down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they should be credited for doing some of the heavy lifting here, because this movie is not, well, like a lot of Mann's films. This is
so to take it like, and again, this is, I guess, from an acting perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the collage that's in his wallet, James Caan's wallet.
Neither do I.
And it's he takes it out and it's got dead bodies on it. It's got a car dealership sort of thing, a woman, and it's his dream. And Willie Nelson. And I'm sorry, Willie's one of those guys. He's Willie Nelson. I don't care. Yeah. I think he was great. Was it Barbarossa?
So, yeah, he was in Barbarossa. He's also, I'm not sure I should be letting this one out of the bag because it's kind of a semi-secret, but he's also the reason Spielberg's marriage to Amy Irving didn't work out. But that's subject for another day. That one comes from some very inside players. But Nelson has a quality about him. I mean, Nelson,
He's got a quality about it, but you can't get past the fact. It's like, that's Willie Nelson. He's got that voice, and he's got the look, and I just always I think sort of him and Christopherson you kind of go, oh, I don't know if you guys are actors. You're like,
right.
You are.
You know, it's when he's introduced, it's in the prison scene, right?
Yeah.
Through the glass. And it's kind of interesting that Nelson asks him how he's doing, and Khan puts on this, oh, I'm doing great. Look, I got these watches. Like, he kind of like every day is an adventure. And like, are you clueless? You're talking to a man living in a box.
Yeah.
Like, do you that sounded very tone deaf to me.
So
What's that?
He's got the collage. Willie Nelson's on the collage, and it's designed to make you feel empathy towards his character. That it's like he's got like this is like his little keepsake. This is his world, and it's in his wallet, and he looks at it, and he's like sitting against the wall, kind of, and he pulls it out, and it's a long shot. So you're supposed to kind of go, oh, I feel sorry for this guy. I want him to get his dream. And then, as he said, goes to the jail. He treats Willie kind of like it's under the guise of, is there anything I can get you? And then he goes, get me out of here.
Yeah.
Which he does. And that's the judge and the lawyer. That part was funny.
That's a good scene. We'll get to that in a minute. I got some notes on that one.
Then, as you go through too, James Caan at the car dealership, move the Buick up there, move that there. Like my heart doesn't go out to him at all. He's an asshole. It's a scene.
James Caan is a very difficult character to like in this, as he often played, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even in Elf, his character, in my perception, takes a while to kind of come around and be compassionate towards us. He is
horribly miscast in Elf.
You think so? I think he ultimately delivered because he was miscast.
Books. That's not a guy that publishes kids' books, and they do the same thing in that. They have a picture of him playing a guitar from 30 years ago to make him, oh, he likes to sing in the park. And I'm like,
yeah, once upon a time, he was a hippie, kids. Anyway, in this film, though, if you haven't seen it, Caan has set up an entire existence. He owns a used car dealership as part of his cover. He owns a bar, which is where a lot of the communication goes through. I mean, I assume he owns it because he blows it up at the end.
Yeah.
So this is the day when tracking was very primitive, but tracking was in full effect. So the bar is a front to call people in and out from payphones. That was a thing, kids. That was in a box or against a wall, and you put a coin in it. A coin was a thing that was made out of some kind of precious metal, and you drop it in, and you can call somebody. That's what those.
You were talking about Kojak. There was a Kojak I watched a couple days ago. A woman is approaching her husband, and he gets kidnapped in front of her from 20 feet away. And as she's running, she trips and falls, and she went down hard. But she gets up, they throw the guy in the car, and she gets up, she looks around, and she runs across the street to a phone booth. And that's like, call 911 on the phone booth. I loved it.
And you think about like the time lapse from getting to a phone booth, making the call, getting through the switchboard, getting the police to respond. I mean, you're probably hours removed from the actual crime at the point of like impact on the clock. But anyway, getting back to this.
Okay.
The movie's shot really well, and it's written really well. It's tight, even though it doesn't. It's hard for me looking at movies like this without looking at who could have also played the part at the time.
Yeah.
Because I watched Caan, and Caan is really unlikable in this, in my opinion. He comes across, he is really rough. He is really rude. He's so rough. He's too rough for his own good, and he just even the people that work within his circle are like, he kind of talks down to them, my money goes in the bank. You put your money, he's got So he's got a bit of an organization built up around him. He is a master thief, hence the title. James Belushi's one of his partners who handles most of the, I guess, surveillance, wiretapping, part of the crew. They insinuate that there's a 3-man crew, maybe more here and there with information getting passed around. I don't know.
It's the guy Joseph, who who ends up driving Tuesday Wells away. And I think that's his only credit.
Maybe. Well, you know what, though? The film is loaded with real professionals and a technical advisor role. And I'll get to it in a minute. But at one point, the cops pull him over and say, look, I'm going to be your best friend. That cop actor is Sanducci, who was an actual jewel thief, who they use his equipment in the film, so they say. But I'm sure he showed him a lot of the ins and outs. He plays the cops and some cynical casting by Man. Man has a sense of humor, too.
Yeah.
So, but that's another scene that kind of illustrates Khan's character and conflict in this. And I understand you don't have a movie if a guy's not walking towards his doom. But when the cops pull him over, he's like, I'm going to be your best friend. I'm going to make it go easy for you. And Khan's like, hey, fuck you. You get out of my face, and you get out of my... You want a Buick, come see me. If not... And I'm like watching that scene going, wait a minute. You're just pulled over by law enforcement who can make your life living hell. Now, you don't have to get along with them or probably even deal with them because they asked for 10%. They go, our take is 10%, and it goes with the territory. Now, how that's presented to him sets him off. I get that. But a guy who had so much at stake, who owns all these businesses, who's doing these massive heists, you would say, hey, I don't like being told what to do, and I don't like the way you're coming at me. However, I can acknowledge that a good working relationship with our local PD and the boys in blue is a good thing for all of us. So let me circle back to you on how we're going to get this handled, and I promise you're going to be happy. And let them do their fucking thing. But instead, he's like, fuck you, get off me. And it's like, and I'm like, what are you doing? Are you trying to create a confrontation for yourself? And he gets one. He gets one later. But anyway, your thoughts?
And I think it's in and around that time, too. He sees Tuesday Wells, and he sets up a date.
It's a first-class date, by the way. It's a first-class date, by the way.
Yeah. I actually really like the song, the band in that bar.
Me too. They were jamming. Stay there. Have a drink there.
Yeah. But he goes in, and because he's late, she's already pissed off.
Yeah, rightfully so.
And then he tries to get her out of there. That's when William Peterson comes up with 2 lines saying, hey, pal. He's like, back the fuck off. And then he leaves, and he's rough with her, which maybe is a creepy sign of the times that you could do that. I don't know. So there's a couple people that kind of get a little ruffled, but no one steps up. Then they get in the car and they're driving, and this is their first date. And he starts yelling at her, kind of going, I got this watch, and I got cufflinks, and I got a different car every week, and why don't you love me? And I'm like, you're a dick. This is the first date. This is when you should be at least putting on the facade of being a good guy.
As always, Ratchford graciously brings the point home of what we're dealing with here. The thing about it is, like, I'm with you. He is like 2 or 3 hours late. The date's off at that point, but the apology should be on. So he finds her in a bar. He gets mad, starts kind of forcing her out, as you described. William Peterson is like the bartender who says, hey, buddy, why don't you cool down? And he gets, he confronts him. Like, he's ready to fight the whole establishment.
Oh, he shows him his gun, the old classic.
Yeah. Now, none of this to me has any aspect of a good time ahead. Like the brutalization of it, the flashing of a weapon, the pushing, the demanding, the shouting. And like you said, it's the first date, and he's lecturing her. And not only is he lecturing her, but he's lecturing her on what he does. Like, he's given her the entire police surveillance package, basically. Yeah. He's like, I got $3,000 silk suits. I got a ring on my finger, to smack you with. I oughta, and it's just like, and you're sitting there going, dude, you are late. You are late, chill out. But he finally takes her to a diner, first class establishment, tells her about his criminal past, his incarceration. And all of that's, I think, done really well, but it is a lot to handle on a first date. And of course, when it's all over, he asks her for some sort of lifelong commitment, and she goes with it. So that's, that story is expressed really quickly, that angle on the story. But I'll tell you what I did like about it, though. Going into that, what makes him late, although I don't know that it's 3 hours late, but What makes him late is his confrontation with what seems to be like the local mob chief, which is played by Robert Prosky.
Prosky, yeah. Love
and
him.
I loved that actor. That actor, whether he was the bad guy opposite Redford in The Natural or in this, I personally loved him as the garage owner in Christine, where he's just got like swamps of tobacco coming out of his mouth the whole time. Like, let me tell you, Paul, I said you could build your car here. I didn't mean you could build the whole fucking thing. You know, you got to work in my bathroom, put on some toilet paper on the spools, and you know, it's just such a realistic. What a transformation.
Or we all choke to death.
Kiddo, you sold him that piece of shit. You ought to be fucking ashamed of yourself.
I didn't sell it to him. Tried to talk him out of it.
You should have tried harder. I knew a guy had a car like that once. Fucking bastard killed himself in it. Son of a bitch was so mean, you could have poured boiling water down his throat. He would have pissed ice cubes. Okay. That's the last time you run that mechanical asshole in here without an exhaust hose. I catch you doing it one time, and you're out. You understand? Huh?
Yes.
Then I'm gonna tell you something else right now. I don't take any shit from you kids. This place is for working stiffs. Got to keep their cars running so they can keep bread on the table. It's not for rich-ass, snot-nosed kids who want to go dragging on the orange belt. I don't allow no smoking in here, neither. You want a butt, you go out in the junkyard.
Oh, well, I don't smoke.
Don't interrupt me, punk. Don't interrupt me. Don't get smart.
Sir?
Why?
Those men over there are smoking. Better tell them to stop.
You're trying to help your buddy right out of here, Chuck.
No.
Then shut your pie hole. I know a creep when I see one. I think I'm looking at one right now.
This to that.
Yeah.
Which shows what a high caliber actor he is. And he's got a great moment in this. His dialogue's really well written. I don't know if he retailored it for his cadence, but you know, he's like, hey, look here, I've seen your stuff. Here's what we're going to do. Cause they killed the guy. We should backtrack. They open the movie by ripping off diamonds. They hand it to someone to move. That guy gets killed before he can deliver the cash.
Yeah.
And so somehow they get a name. Khan walks into a sheet metal business.
Yeah.
Which is a front. Sticks his gun in everybody's face.
And that was also kind of a funny thing when he's leaving.
Yeah.
He's like constantly looking. It's like, for being the baddest motherfucker on the planet, he looked terrified with his gun.
Yeah.
And had no idea how to hold it and where to go. And he just leaves the room. He shuts the door with henchmen. Is Farina in that one?
Yeah. Dennis Farina shows up. He's one of the heavies.
And I said, I love this introduction because he walks by as James Caan is walking into that office. Farina walks by and went, and you could, like, he's got presence. That motherfucker had presence, man.
He did, yeah.
And
he was
leaves them in the back. There's 4 henchmen with guns that are there to do the bidding, and not one of them opens the door. And Caan walks out like this. It's like, dude, you're not the cool cucumber that you profess to be.
He's put it in his pocket, the principal. They found out he was screwing them over. They went crazy, boom.
Gags down on merch?
Yeah, at the Ardeen Lounge. And Paulie saw it go down. It was your money that was in Gag's pocket when he went out the window.
You keep this running. Yes, please. I'd like to see a Mr.
Hey, Bill,
Taggart.
I want a cup too, okay?
Sure, where's your cup?
Back by the machine. I'm sorry, what were you
Yes,
saying?
Mr. Taglia. I'd like to see him. You've made a delivery of some plating, and I had a lot of problems with
Just a minute. There's someone here to see you about some plating. Okay. Back there.
Thank you.
Mr. Taggart, you didn't get a delivery or something? Sit down. Zinc, what?
My name is Frank, and that was bullshit.
What is it?
This is Joe Gaggs. 185,000 of my money. We have this problem.
What problem? What are you talking about?
He was moving my merchandise. So the money in his pocket when he went out the window is my money.
This is a plating company. What are you telling me this shit?
Shit? I want my money.
Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Frank Lala, whatever. Some guy died?
Yes.
Your estate goes to probate. Take it to probate court. What do you bug me with this?
I come here to discuss a piece of business with you. And what are you gonna do? You gonna tell me fairy tales?
Hey, who the fuck are you, Slick? Somebody knows you? What are you, crazy or what? I don't know you. I don't know some clown named Gaggs. Go see what you gotta do. Get out of here. Carl! Go ahead, get the fuck out of here.
Hold it.
All right. Jesus Christ. Hold on. Do what he says. Do what he says.
Lay down.
Go ahead.
Put your hands on your head.
Spread your legs. Now. Hey, you goof, look at the wall.
I am the last guy in the world that you want to fuck with. You found my money on Gaggs. Let us pretend that you don't know whose money it is.
That's right, for Christ's sakes. I don't know who you are.
Three hours. I will call to set a meet. You will pay me my money, $185,000.
Surprised. I mean, I can understand, I suppose, you're going to keep the gun out or maybe keep it in your hand and drop it to your waist and kind of quickly exit. But, you know, I kept thinking, like, this is in the age where he has been incarcerated and he's got his fingerprints all over everything and he's taking his time and it's broad daylight. And now how much gets reported when the business is afront? We're already in the world of crazy Michael Mann movie making.
Yeah.
Logistics. So, but Farina's good. Farina was a Michael Mann stock company favorite. Is our buddy Bill Smitrovich, who we love. All these guys show up in Manhunter, Crime Story. Sanducci, the technical advisor, was the real jewel thief. He showed up in Crime Story a bit. So, it's good casting. Like, Mann knows faces, but I have to tell you too, the situation is. He sticks his gun in. He arranges a meet in 3 hours. The meeting turns out to be with this guy whose office he raided, and Robert Prowski, who's the mafia chief. And he makes a very convincing sales pitch, but it's a pitch, that comes with strings attached. But for some reason, Khan doesn't think that. Yeah, he's like telling me, like, if you're arrested, there'll be a lawyer and a bondsman there. You won't spend a night in jail, and I'll give you the job, and you can evaluate the job. We'll give you a price. You can say yes, you can say no. We got expenses. And he maps it all out for him. But even, I think, just watching it, you're like, for the first time, you'd be like, well, this isn't going to be this easy. Of course not. We got a movie here. But he does give him a convincing pitch.
Want to put down contract scores all over the country, working directly for me?
I am self-employed. I am doing fine. I don't deal with egos. I am Joe, the boss of my own body. So what the fuck do I have to work for you for?
Maybe you don't. I'll lay it out. You can be the judge. You don't look. You don't case. You don't do nothing. We point you to a score. When we say it's there, it's there. They're all laid out scores.
And they worked up.
Alarm system diagrams, blueprints, sometimes a front door key, sometimes the scores are in on it. Everybody's ripping off the insurance company.
Yeah, work cars, jobs, tools.
Whatever you need, you'd see me. I'd be your father. Money, guns, cars. I'd be your father from here on out.
It's my end.
You get a price. No negotiation about the price. We got expenses here you don't have, but you'll know the price up front.
How big?
Boxcar. Nothing under 6 figures. I'll make you a millionaire in 4 months.
I go to work for you, I'm pulling a lot of exposure.
Our protection trades that off.
Yeah, take a bust.
Turn around, there's gonna be a lawyer, bondsman right there. You never spend a night in jail.
Look, I steal ice. No furs, no coin collections, no stock certificates, no cottage, no treasury bonds, no nothing. Just diamonds or cash.
Fine.
No cowboy shit, no home invasions. I work with a partner.
We take care of you. A partner is strictly your responsibility. He beefs on you, that's your problem. He beefs on us, that's your problem too.
Well, you're inside people.
That's my end. You don't have to know anything about that. So what do you say, Frank?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know. I don't believe in lifetime subscriptions. Maybe it don't fit in with my retirement program.
What are you gonna do retired?
Pick corn with the chickens, watch daytime TV for the rest of my life. What the hell's the difference?
All right, all right. 2, 3 moves. You want to keep going, that's fine. Well, if you want to split, that's fine too. Everybody's businesslike. Everybody's an adult.
So let me know, because we'd be terrific.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll call you.
Those guys that can go from just like, hey, I'm a sweetheart. We got family. We're in my man cave. And then the second he doesn't like you, that all changes. It's like when everything changes, but nothing changes. And he can go into like, who the fuck do you think you are?
He is a very compelling actor to watch, as is a lot of the people in this movie. I'm not going to deny it. I mean, I think even Jim Belushi is good in this. And I don't mean like even Jim Belushi, like he's not good when you see him, but it's kind of it's a unique casting choice, I think. And I think Belushi lives up to it in his role. So this is the reason Khan is late to his first date, which that date goes off the rails. Like if you would have heard that date, I mean, if somebody recapped that date, I mean, what would the advice be to your friend?
Yeah.
And so he was 3 hours late and he pulled me out of a bar and he showed a guy a gun. And I don't think anyone's saying, oh, that sounds so wonderful, honey. That sounds like love at first. Anyway, they strike up a relationship. He gets his next job, which is supposed to be the job that gets him out. Now, also, the cops start surveilling him when he meets Prosky. What's his name in the movie? I can't even remember. Anyway, he's under surveillance. So they start tracking him. And all of a sudden, but Khan needs favors. Khan needs to get Willie Nelson out of prison. Khan needs to set up a life with Tuesday Weld, who's good in this.
Yeah.
And so she gets a house. Tuesday Weld admits on the first date she can't have kids. Not a big deal, I don't think. But they can't adopt because of his rack record. There's a big confrontation. Like if you think the date went well, wait until you see how Khan goes about trying to sit in the office, the social services office, to adopt a kid. That goes as equally well.
Yeah. And Robert Prosky was named Leo.
Leo.
But case in point right there, too. The slurs that he uses.
Yes.
Trying to get the kid.
Oh, very uncomfortable.
The base of, I may have been in jail, but I was raised in the system, and I want to give another kid. I want to, because that's why sort of I went to jail. So I'm here pledging to take a kid out of the system, and you got thousands, but then he's got to use the slurs, and you go, oh, that's another, as the character, I don't, why would you use that language if you want people on your side?
It's difficult to hear.
I don't care what era we're in.
Yeah. And this is like really harsh, like said in a very vindictive manner, because he's mad at the person he's speaking with, and then he tries to bribe her. Like, let me how about this? You want this? And it's like, at some point, like Tuesday Weld's character is like right out of the gate knows this ain't happening. Let's just cut our losses, and he pushes it and needles it, and security shows up, and the whole office is but it's to your point, he's such an unlikable guy.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't work out well, but guess what? The same guy that has offered you a job and has provided you a house to set up your life can also offer you a kid. Yeah. And in a scene that's somewhat interesting to watch, get your friend Willie Nelson out of jail, which he does.
Yeah.
But what's funny is after all these things are done for you and you do the big job and you go back to collect, the mafia boss says, I'm assuming he's a mafia chief. He cuts that on the screen anyway.
Yeah.
And he goes, so about our next job, Miami Beach. And he's like, no, I am out. Like he tells him matter of factly, like, F you, I'm out. And it's like, wait a minute, bro.
I don't have all my money. And the guy said, look I've set your money up here. It's all being cleaned. Everything. It's like, no, fuck you. I'm a one-time guy. It's like, and that's when, again, Prosky, everything changes when he goes, no, I own your kid. I own you this. I own you that. And he's like, fuck you. I'll be back here tomorrow to get my money. He's like, no.
And this is the thing about the movie that makes watching it difficult for me personally, is because he is so smart at what he does and how he goes about the actual job, but he has no sense of the landscape around him or the way the world works. Do you think this kid is free? Do you think getting your friend out of prison is free, or this house is free? I mean, the house is the least of it because, it's the mafia. But I'm like, he can't calculate that that's going to come back into some kind of negotiation for another job.
Yeah, couldn't be better.
I know this is what you're here for, kid.
That's it. Mitch, what's to it?
Your tan is great. How long are we in San Diego?
A few days,
Mitch told me all about the score. Said that you were Dr. Wizard.
Yeah.
Hello,
Where's the rest?
Don't worry about it.
What is this?
This is the cash part.
Well, you're light. 830,000 supposed to be here, and I count what? 70, 80, 90.
That's because I put you into the Jacksonville, the Fort Worth, and the Davenport shopping centers with the rest. I take care of my people. You can ask these guys. Papers are at your house. It's set up as a limited partnership. The general partner is a subchapter S corporation. You got equity with me in that.
Well, count me out.
I thought we had this good thing. Plus, I got a major score in Palm Beach for you in 6 weeks.
You talking to me or somebody else walking this room?
What's that supposed to mean?
It means you are dreaming. This is payday. It is over.
You know, when you have trouble with the cops, you pay them off like everybody else because that's the way things are done. But not you, huh?
No. They don't run me, and you don't run me.
I give you houses, I give you a car. You're family. I thought you'd come around. What the hell is this? Where is gratitude?
Where is my end?
You can't see day from night.
I can see my money is still in your pocket, which is from the yield of my labor. What gratitude? You're making big profits from my work, my risk, my sweat. But that is okay.
because I elected it to make that deal. But now the deal is over. I want my end, and I am out.
Why don't you join the labor union?
I am wearing it.
Frank, don't.
Do it, Slick.
My money in 24 hours, or you will wear your ass for a hat.
Okay, get the hell out of here.
Tell you? What did I tell you?
Of course, if you can, then you don't have a movie, I guess.
When you put him up against De Niro in Heat,
Yeah.
and the scene that sells De Niro as someone who is not a fool, when he is standing outside and they're drilling through and the cops all in the panel van across the parking lot, and the one cop moves and you just hear, like, and you see, and they go to an infrared shot, and De Niro backs into the wedge of the building, into the darkness.
Yeah.
And they go to the infrared so you can see it's just all black and white, but he just inches back and you can see he's kind of going, something doesn't feel right. Walks in and says, drop everything. Let's fucking go. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we're almost there. He's like, nope, walk away now. They walk away, and even Pacino's character says, what do we got him on? Nothing. He'll be out in 48 hours. But that's
exactly.
That's the genius of how good De Niro is at his job, as opposed to James Caan, who's like, no, I'm going to do this one-off, and not realizing you have set me up. They own you, and he didn't know that. It's weird.
Yeah,
can't
so
blame
good
Caan for that. That's got to be someone else.
Yeah,
But
so
Caan doesn't
good
know
at
himself by being such a dick.
Yeah, he is so demanding of the people he works with and for, and of everyone trying to explain the way like everyone knows in a criminal organization. I almost revealed something that I should not talk about, but everyone knows that relationships with the police is a good thing. Like, they don't know what your score is. They don't know what their 10% is, but at least try to keep it politically cool. That's the one thing that De Niro's character did do in Heat when he finally sits down with Pacino and they're at the point where, like, we now know.
Yeah.
You know who I am and I know who you are. And they don't have to say it. They now know he's trying to pull a job and Pacino's trying to execute, try to shut that job down. But De Niro plays it very calm, and he hears him out, and he hears about Pacino's life, talking about he's on his third marriage. And, they express a sense of relatability, also a sense that they are like men of commitment to their ways. Like, they can't change who they are. They would love to. They would have loved to have gotten up from that little thing. What was that? Kate Mandolini's where they did that scene. They would have loved to have walked out and gone on and gotten a real job, and what's compelling about it is neither one has the capabilities or the functionality to do that. So, but in Heat, it's like, wait a minute, bro, are you deliberately trying to make everyone want to put a round through your skull? It's like, he just mouths off to everybody. And I have to think that he's a lot like his character in The Godfather, and I have to feel like a lot of that probably was just Caan's energy, because I think about other actors at the time that could have played this part, and there's some good ones that could have delivered your movie, and it would have been a completely different sort of setup and sense of emotion, I think, personally. All right, so I think we're somewhat in agreement. You had some funny notes you point off. We were talking about potential cut scenes from this, and one of them was when he walks through that like welding machine shop, how there's a guy in a white coat and a white hard hat, and he asks about him. Because Caan is so wired up, he even has like people doing manufacturing of special tools. So, and they never come back to it. They say, what's this guy? And they go, well, it's so-and-so, and then that's it. So I wonder if something was cut there, but continue.
Yeah, it was one of those things where, but it's the classic Michael Mann. It's that underbelly and all the sparks in the background, and you can taste the metal in the air. And it's so just so you know that, all these. It's I almost like it's Michael Mann seems to be like the 3 a.m. guy. It's all the guys that are working at 3 a.m. in the underbelly of the city that are sort of not so much. I'm kind of going with a thought here, but they're not murderers, but they're all trying to be Robin Hood and take something that isn't theirs without hurting anybody. Like I would think that, the safe crackers and all that stuff, they're not going in and blowing everybody away.
Right.
And it's all the classic bank robbers. They don't want to shoot people. They use the guns as kind of like everyone stay down and you won't get hurt. But
yeah, there is what feels like an ethical code, a strangely ethical code of conduct among thieves, so to speak.
So they go to this guy into his shop and he goes, I need to get through this kind of metal. Because even there's a point, does James Caan get on the phone? And then they show him, he's got this weird little set of calipers that he's on the sheet of paper that James Caan gave him. So you got to go, okay, he's starting to plot it. They're like, give me a week or 2 weeks, whatever it was. But yeah, they bring up, who's the guy? Well, what kind of guy is going to be around here in a white jacket?
Right.
And you think, then that, because I instantly kind of go, is this a plant? Like, is this an obvious plant? Like someone's trying to infiltrate and it just goes nowhere.
Yeah.
So why did you have it?
Yeah.
Sort of like the other one
exactly.
too. After they do the gig, there's the whole Hawaii scene. It's like we're frolicking down the beach. Why? But that's also, from what I could see, leading itself to Miami Vice.
Yeah, you can certainly see the beginnings of it coming together on this. And that scene you were talking about at the beach is what stood out with me is Jim Belushi does a textbook linebacker tackle on his date. Like, I thought he broke her knee taking her down.
So did I. Yeah.
And I was like, what is with these guys? It's like the abuse that they inflict on everyone around them. But yeah, why?
A weird way, man.
Yeah.
I saw the same thing. I thought she's broken her leg.
Yeah.
It wasn't a playful little takedown.
Did you ever work with James Caan?
Nope.
Or Belushi? Did you ever work with Belushi? Nope. You still have your chance with him.
I worked with his son on an episode of The Mentalist.
Okay. This movie is based on a book called The Home Invaders, which is interesting because the one point Caan makes to Robert Prowski is, I don't do home invasions. Mann has since said he threw the book out, but felt like the negotiations, probably because of the legal entanglements, that it would definitely be tripped by throwing the book out and throwing the credit out. He stuck with the credit. He says nothing is based on the book. I'd be interested to know if that's true or what's in the book that did actually add to the film. But it's interesting. He does his thing here, man. Tangerine Dream, nice neon credit, beginning to end. He does have the Miami Vice presentational feel, which, by the way, I love the pilot to Miami Vice. I think that was one of the most powerful TV pilots when it came out. And I actually thought that was the coolest character on TV. And I'm talking about Philip Michael Thomas. The way that show opens, where he's on a stakeout in New York. That show, Miami Vice, opens in New York. And there's those three punks, those three hoods who spit on his windshield and be like, throw in a 20 for the wax or so. And all of a sudden, it's like a sawed-off shotgun. Keep in mind, we didn't see a lot of those. And it's in his, he like points it out the window. And the guys are like, whoa. And then he goes in to try to, to assassinate Calderon. I don't think he's going in to make an arrest. He's going in to actually cut Calderon in half. That's the beginning of Miami Vice. And I thought Philip Michael Thomas, over the course of that show, was a great character to follow.
Yo, man, so what you want to do, man? Let's go down to 40 Deuce.
Nah, man, I feel like going there, man. Let's do something better. Think of something
Let's
better.
go down to 40 Deuce.
Hey. Yo, brother. Hey. Got a couple 20s I can hold, my man?
Toss in some plastic while you at it. For the wash and wax.
Beat it, punks.
Do you think it'd be Michael Jackson or something, man? I'ma cut you good, sucker.
Can it wait? I'm a little busy right now.
Absolutely, man.
Hey, nice rap for you, boy.
Interesting in his delivery choices and how he went about it. Like there's that episode, you probably don't even remember it because you're too young, but
No. You know what? I haven't seen it since it was out. And
well, that's probably that might be a good thing.
The pilot was In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. You know, and that set the entire TV game on fire. That was a popular song set in such a way. You know, I can feel it coming in the air tonight. The car driving through the city. It was crazy. Oh, and you can see that. I'm sorry, but in Thief, there's a shot. I'm not sure where it is, but it's just a shot of the hood of the car. It's driving through the city, but you're seeing the street lights.
Yeah.
And I went, that's Miami Vice. That's that whole nighttime wet. And it's you're not even looking at what you're looking at. You're looking at the hood of a car and seeing the buildings going by.
I have a theory about that and how that came about. My theory is, and of course, the realities to what I'm about to say are somewhere for some film bro to come at me with and re-educate my thinking on this, as so many people on the internet like to do. But my theory is that probably started where the network said, hey, man, we're about 2 minutes short. And they go, no problem. Second unit, don't worry about permits. Go out at 2 a.m. and just film the car. And we'll put a song there, you know, and have him stop at a phone booth and he'll make one last plea with his wife or one last apology for the way things went, because that's part of the subplot. You know, and that's my theory, that I feel like they felt the episode was running short for the time needed. Those are the days when you were locked in to a number of minutes you had to deliver. And that's how that came about. But it was a good stylistic choice. Incidentally, you know who the script supervisor is on Thief? Sandy King, the producer who's now married to John Carpenter. She was the script supervisor on this, who's still very much with us and can probably give us all the dirt on the movie. She and John Carpenter support Sean's charity every year, so I should probably ask her. We should get her in on this. Give me your Thief experiences.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd love to hear firsthand, man.
So, yeah, especially from a script supervisor, because they are in the trenches.
They are the lifeblood.
Oh, man. And you know, speaking of continuity, I think the continuity in this movie is actually pretty damn good. I mean, I think they had some unique ideas as far as how to present this to make sort of the landscape of the city a character.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he blows everything sky high and destroys his car lot and burns it all to the ground and his house. I think that might have just been done for the trailer. You know, like we need some explosions. I don't know. Maybe he's sanitizing his existence in case.
And that whole end sequence for him, going to Tuesday and saying, get out of here, and here's boxes of money, and give Joseph 10 grand the first month, 20 grand the second month, and now get out of here. Well, I want to stay. Get out of here. Get out of here. So then he leaves, blows up his bar, blows up his house,
destroys his lot.
And one of my notes was, you know, when you see a dog or a horse get killed in the movies, it's you know they didn't get killed, although some animals do get injured on shows. I'm aware of that, but by and large, when they kill Old Yeller, they're not killing a dog right there. But when they blow up beautiful cars, it breaks my heart because it's just, don't burn the cars, man. Those are real cars getting burned.
We have covered this. Ratchford is a car guy, and he's also the first guy to work in Old Yeller into a conversation here. Congratulations, buddy. Nice job.
But then he goes to Prosky's house, stealthily, gets in, breaks the lock, gets in, and the guy says, "I'm going to get some milk," which I know was just like, okay. And you want milk?
that was sort of a lazy choice, I think, for that.
But
moment.
then, for all this stealth, he takes that guy out in the kitchen, as loud as all get out, alerting everybody to what's going on. Then at one point, I played it a couple of times because he's doing his thing again.
Yeah.
He's just pointing the gun at the guy. He's terrified. At one point, it looks like he points it at the statue in the hallway, which I thought was hysterical because it looks like he might be going that way, but he points it at the statue because then he does look down that way. But then he gets through all that, shoots Prosky twice, goes out in the street, gets shot by Farina, and then ends up taking them all out, reveals that he's wearing a vest, and walks away. Now, why did he have to do that to Tuesday? Is he going to go find her again?
Exactly. So that was, my point at the point of watching it anyway, or my point now. When you're outlining all this, you're destroying your very existence. You're sending the woman you love, out on a safari, which you may never see again. You're doing all this damage to your infrastructure, but you wear a vest as if you're planning to live for tomorrow. Like that, everything that he did up until that point sounded like a suicide mission. And by the way, if you're going to shoot a dude at the refrigerator getting milk, I think that's a very lazy choice. But the bodyguard for Prosky is the same guy he got the drop on early. That guy's fired.
Yeah.
That guy's fired at the top of the movie. This guy walked into your office, stuck a gun in your face, had your two henchmen lie down who get blasted. Where do they live? Next door? Because they come like running up the block. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
And like Farina comes through the hedges like a stalker. Like the only thing missing on that dude is a Michael Myers mask.
Yeah.
But he comes through the bushes, gets blasted, and then Khan like walks away. Like he walks down the street. I'm like, wait a minute, bro, you're leaving a Chicago firefight.
Well,
maybe don't walk.
No lights in the neighborhood go on.
Right. Nobody comes on their porch
everywhere, and no one's, and that's as I pointed out, that's when I saw this thing, because I can't describe James Caan, his physicality, and it was at the end of the movie when he's walking down the street. Sure, he got shot, but he had the vest on. Yeah. But his gait, his footsteps are like 4 inches. It's little. He always looks like I don't know. Maybe he's holding it in because he has to go to the bathroom so bad. It's all so like there's not one relaxed bone in his body.
He walks hobbled. He walks hobbled, maybe from his football days or his Bride and Song days. I don't know. But he definitely walks like a damaged human being. I do too, man. I have been slammed on so many judo mats over the last 3 decades that I sometimes cannot even stand up straight. So I think I can recognize the pain from whatever sports injury he has suffered. But you're right. Charismatically speaking, on the screen, it does take away something from the presence. He's not playing a guy back from Vietnam who survived like a napalm strike in Khe Sanh. He's playing a guy who just got out. But he plays it like Khan. I mean, Khan's fingerprints are all over this. And I think if you love James Caan, great. This is a good movie for you. Yeah. If you're lukewarm to Khan at best, which I am, I thought he was over the top in Godfather, although I love the movie. I liked him in A Bridge Too Far, but he's reined in by Attenborough. And, he shows up in movies here and there, and he does a solid job, but he is always Caan to me.
Yeah.
He's never an actor playing a part. He's James Caan.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, like I said, I'm looking at people in the day who were working who probably could have killed that fucking role too, you know? Look at the movies that came out around that time. Late 70s, early 80s. You know, there's a lot of titans that were in the...
Speaking of which, this is we're going to kind of a little full circle. I'm on season 4 of Kojak. Guess who appears? Richard Gere.
Oh, man. Well, Kojak is loaded with guys that are now, like Stallone is in Kojak. Harvey Keitel is in Kojak. We should bring up a hot sheet of how many great actors cut their teeth in Kojak. To me, what makes Kojak work is Savalas. Like that guy, you know, it's funny because I grew up after Kojak kind of had its run, and Kojak was more of like something people reflected on than actually watched. But looking at it now, man, Savalas, and by the way, I was actually telling my mother at this famous LA diner where all the celebrities show that will not be named so assholes don't show up there to stake it out. The diner where Caan was rough with the staff and my buddy Chris. But I told my mom, I said, hey, I've been looking at a lot of Kojak. And she goes, oh, you know, I met him. He was very nice, Telly Savalas. And, you know, my sister's godfather was the head of publicity for MGM, Howard Strickland. So there was a lot of connections here and there. She's like, I met him once. He was very nice. But what's interesting about Savalas is he looks very different than he behaves on Kojak. Like you expect one thing with that package, but he is very There's a great line, buddy. I don't know what episode you're on. I just saw an episode. See, don't mention Kojak to Ratchford and me. We're lost. We're in a cyclone of early 70s cop epicness. But there was a scene where there's a girl who's the victim of a rape. And her dad does some like victim shaming and victim blaming. And it's like, how did this happen to you? You know, all the things a father should never do under any circumstances. And he's like going on and on and on. And there's a moment where Kojak has to get the victim to testify. They've caught the guy. And they're like, we're going to get him and put him on the stand. And your daughter's going to testify. And we're going to put him away, basically. And the guy's like, well, how do I live with this? How do I do? The father's venting all this. And Kojak's line to him is, well, your daughter's going to live, and this guy's going to wish he didn't. That's the best I can do for you.